Hello, thank you for joining today the Young Entrepreneur Workshop titled Developing Work-Ready and Service-Minded Youth Through Young Entrepreneurs. My name is Shannon Farrell, and I am the 4-H agent in Harrison County, Kentucky. I've been an agent now for about 16 years. Most recently, I have been in my home community for about 4 years and very blessed to work with some great community leaders on this program. I'm going to start off by kind of outlining the way our program works and then go into some slides and things that show you a little bit about what we do. And we'll end with goals that implement key concepts that help make our program successful, but can easily be adaptable to any area in 4-H, any club, any activity outside of just entrepreneurs. So I hope you find this very advantageous no matter what your area of interest is, what area of interest with young people that you work with have, and we will hopefully be able to make this a really great workshop. So but the way our program starts, number one, have your volunteer team. Find that team. If you don't already have it, look for those key players that have an interest in working with young people that have similar passions and interest for when they become adults. So when I started in the county that I currently work in, I went to our chamber director, I went to our tourism director, and I pitched this entrepreneur program idea to them. They were instantly in love with it, and we were able to even get more people on board. We also now have a local bank involved, and we have a former business owner, which is now a real estate agent, as one of our main volunteers. And together we sit down before the meeting ever starts and we develop what our goals for the year will be. Over the years, we have kept some and we have added new goals and changed some because we always want to keep it spiced up and make sure that we're meeting the ever-evolving interests and changes of our society and our young people and where the needs are. We also identify new components, no matter what. And I tell my volunteers every year that if our program looks the same this year as it did last year, we are doing something wrong. So we always look for new things to implement, mostly to keep it spiced up for our returners, but also to keep it very relevant for all of them. For instance, this past year, we did our first ever time capsule digitally. So we put all of our young people on screen. I prompted them with some questions, and they kind of explained what they had done in the entrepreneur program. Some went on to talk about 4-H in general, what their career ambitions are. We're going to watch that next year and kind of see where the differences lie. How have they grown? Have they tweaked their business? Or do they have new aspirations since that was recorded? And then we always go ahead and get our logistics scheduled. So, when do we plan to meet? How often? What time? Do we have the meetings reserved? That sort of thing. And again, it looks different every year. We do not pattern it the same. It just depends on what we feel like we need to do. So our current plan and what we do have similar patterns is that during that first meeting, we find something really cool that's going to rope them in. So we try to bring in something that's going to be the reason they come. And, sometimes we'll have first-time members that show up and don't even know what an entrepreneur is. And then we have our returners that have a lot of experience and perspective to share. This year, we're bringing in a coffee truck and hot chocolate, and he's going to talk about his business. But then, obviously, I plan to purchase, with some program money, something delicious for each of these young people to be drinking while we move into our meeting, which will be providing them with booklets that have budget analysis and business plans, brainstorming papers, and things to help them develop what it is they might want to do. Now, some come already with a business established and others have no idea. So we are there to meet the needs of all of them. And one of the things that we'll do is we'll take our returners and we'll peel them off to the side or put them in another room, and we'll have a conversation on having them reflect on their previous year. And we'll talk about what worked or what didn't work. What are they planning to tweak? Is their audience who they thought it would be? All those things. And then they'll come back in with our new members and share that. It's always really cool to see how our young 4-Hers can so easily engage with people that aren't that much older than them, but that have that experience, so that they can kind of just apply it to where they're headed. In our second meeting, we try to bring in some interactive topic. It might be customer service, it might be marketing, whatever it is. we make sure it's not just a guest speaker. We definitely want them to bring and share what they have, but they do it in an exciting way. So this might include, if it was marketing, one example, we had industry leader, she's the marketing director of her industry, came in and talked about marketing, but she used the Squishmallow to do that with 4-Hers. And she went through all the details that company has used and how it has become so successful with all their little strategies and techniques. And then she went on and tweaked it to talk about specifically what her business does, which is create hard hats for construction workers, firefighters, and so forth, and explained how it's so important that they appeal to their audience with safety features and even some eye appeal too. In our third meeting, we do presentations, and this is where our young people all get an opportunity to put together and talk about their business or their service. And most do this with PowerPoint or Canva. They don't have to. Some bring in actual samples of what they make or plan to make, and they'll get a chance to share that with everyone. And then we'll also have a micro loan opportunity where a bank representative is there and offers them a loan if they need it or want it to be able to help them with the startup of their business. And then we'll get into, with our other slides, what our vendor opportunities look like, job shadowing, and service that we have incorporated with this group. So here are some pictures real quick on our Shark Tank, is what we call it with our presentations. This is not nearly as intimidating as the TV show, but our young people, as I mentioned before, do get in front of our group and their peers in this panel that you can see pictured in the bottom left and explain who they are, why they've picked or chosen the business or service that they have, and give us the details on that. A lot of times they'll break it down with cost analysis and what their pricing will be based off that. And other times, they'll talk more about their audience and who they're targeting. They'll show us what their logo plans to be and how they picked those colors or that design. And then our panel always does an incredible job of interacting with the youth after their presentations, and they'll ask them questions that make them think. Sometimes, maybe they've hit on something but not deeply clarified it, so they'll ask them something just to get them thinking and make sure that they consider that before they get started with their business. And then pictured there in the middle of the bottom column is a bank representative working with the 4-H'er on the microloan. So we do up to $250 in microloans. And this is something where that day after the presentation, they sign, the 4-H'er signs, the banker signs, and a parent or guardian signs on whatever amount they've agreed on. And that's done just at our meeting. But the follow-up is within the year that the 4-H'er, the parent will reach out to the bank, schedule a time to go back and actually pay that loan back. And in order for them to continue in the club year after year, they will have to pay back that loan. We have fortunately never had a problem getting that paid off from our many 4-H'ers that take up this opportunity. This picture here is actually my oldest daughter that we had her take out the loan because I wanted her to see the process through. It's really easy to feel like you've got that money and almost think about it as that's starting up and then forget about it. But to be able to remember that at the end of the season, you've got to go back and from your profits pull that amount of money that you borrowed and give it back. And so we did that at the banking institution, and I think she learned a lot, and it was a great eye-opening experience. And then the bottom there is a picture of our very first group of entrepreneurs. So after their presentations, we provide them a certificate, and the certificate is signed by a chamber director or member and myself, and it really, truly validates them as honorary chamber members, which means that they are eligible to set up and sell at any vendor event that the chamber offers, which is a lot throughout the year, at no cost, and it costs them nothing to become the member. So we love doing this for our young people. Money-making time. This is what they join the club for. These young people, if they've gone through our meetings, they've done their business plan, they've done their presentations, they're honorary members, and now they're ready to just set up and sell. And we are fortunate, and I'm sure most communities are, to have a lot of different opportunities that these young people can sign up for. And really, truly, what we do is once we hear about it, we'll send it out to the group, and then they can choose to do as many of them as they like. And we do things from every school and elementary school in our community does either a spring festival or a fall festival. We've got the Shop Small that takes place on Black Friday or the Saturday after. We've got a Harvest Festival that's a huge community event. We've got a local strawberry festival, honey festival, a big bash that takes place. We've got 3 summer concert series. And these things bring in hundreds of community people to come and enjoy whatever is offered. And so these young people usually do very well at these as vendors at these events and profit quite a bit. We've even had businesses reach out to some of these with their products and ask to sell them in store or to make quantities in advance for parties and different events. So it really goes beyond just being a vendor at something that they've decided to set up at. For our job shadowing component, this is where we have our young people identify businesses downtown, and then they will all rank their top 3 that they would have an interest in spending some hours at, getting to do real world experience at these jobs. And so I'll make sure to place them with one of their top 3. And we do this during the school day so that they are all available. They don't have conflicts with those after school commitments. And it works really well. I'll go pick them up from school. I'll take them to their business that they've been assigned to, make sure they meet up with their business owner or manager or whoever is their contact for the day. I provide them both with some folders of information just as risk management purposes go. And then they get to spend a couple, 2 or 3 hours working in that business, doing those jobs, learning from the best. I come pick them up at the end of their shift and I'll take them back to school. We had morning shifts, we had afternoon shifts, but the reviews from these young people were outstanding. They loved what they did and the connections that they made and the skills that they learned. Here we've got pictured just some of the variety of what they have chosen. So like our top left-hand corner there, a young lady got to actually close on a house with her real estate agent. We've had the donut making taking place. They've been in businesses where they're making coffees or drinks or meals even. We've had the veterinary service where this young lady actually got to watch the process of a spay take place. We had a young lady in the bank getting to do all the drive-through bank, walk-in customers, one that worked at a local flower shop and got to make bouquets for community requests and needs. We've had the clothing shop, the bookstore, just all kinds of things. And these business owners, I polled every one of them afterwards just to get their feel on how it went. Was it successful? Did they enjoy it? Would they want to continue it? Would they want to host 2 students? And they were all extremely favorable. Everyone want to be on board with this in the future. And we look forward not only to that, but including other businesses downtown in this awesome opportunity. For our service project, we let our young people decide what that was. They made some donation requests. We kind of got a pot of money that we could budget with. But what they decided on this past year was to do kind of a thank you to the businesses that allowed them to come in and job shadow for the morning or the afternoon. So we went to a local greenhouse and we created these really adorable annual pots that we delivered to each of our businesses. And so many of them were kind of on our main street downtown. So it provided a uniform, storefront kind of look that was really nice. And we even in the picture that kind of shows everybody in our group photo there at the bottom, you cannot tell it from this photo, but his business had actually caught fire and destroyed his business just a few weeks before we had done this. So it was between the job shadow time and when we did our service project. We had some money left over from the project that they picked, so they wrote him a check to help with repairs on his business. So that was a really heartfelt portion of what we did that day. Some key points that I want to make sure to emphasize. We've talked a little bit about what this program in Young Entrepreneurs look like in our community, but it's the key points that make the difference. So no matter what club or activity that you're involved with, that you help lead or you work with volunteers who help lead, it's important to build all these aspects in. Communication skills is the first one there. With our system, they do their presentations on their business, and then they have the opportunity to do a marketing piece when we bring in businesses to do hands-on things. So for instance, that picture that you see here on the slide is where we brought in a local, it's a drink business that does bubble teas and smoothies and protein bowls and that sort of thing. But they brought in probably 20 different flavors of juices and bubbles, and the youth all got to make their own flavor. And then when we do these type things, we've done this with donuts and donut glaze. We've done this with candles and candle scents. They also have to put together a marketing blurb. So they'll title their creation and they'll create an actual emblem or an image that would be their marketing piece if this was theirs to sell. And then we have them present that to a few people that will pick a winner, and the winner gets featured in the store. So these drinks, for instance, that became a new drink flavor that's still on the menu. Our donut creation it was a fall decoration, so it was featured for a couple of weeks leading up to a holiday. And then our candles, they each got to take their own scents home, and he actually videoed their marketing blurb to then put on his page that he markets with for his business to talk about how getting these young people involved. So just finding ways to have them communicate, and whatever that looks like in your setting. Leadership skills, anytime you can put that in. We have our returners talk to our new entrepreneurs about business. We have them decide what they want their marketing apparel to look like. So last year specifically, they designed what image they wanted on the front and the back of a t-shirt, a hoodie, a long sleeve shirt. And they use that to sell for profits that would go towards their community project. And that was something that they were all involved with, where we just put up a canvas screen and they were all watching it, and then they would pick their templates, and then we would try different colors out, and we would all come to what our agreement was. And we've done that with our sign too, that we created that sets out when a whole bunch of us are at an event together doing vendor opportunities. We now have like a yard sign to help market where we're located. Our career application piece, that's so important in getting these young people work ready. So no matter what you're involved with, if it's something agriculture related, or if it's sewing or a needlework related, or if it's horticulture related, even if you can't take these young people to those businesses, it's so important to bring them to you. So find those agribusiness men or women that can come to them at a meeting, or someone in fashion design to come to them, determine what their colors are and how to establish that when they're picking out wardrobe pieces, or bring in a landscape artist that can talk about, what goes in to doing an effective job for your customers. And then making those interactive, not where it's just a guest speaker, but where they're actually hands-on, able to do something with that or enjoy whatever it is that they've brought in. Civic involvement is also such an important piece. Our young people cannot miss this. For them to do what they need to do as adults in their communities, wherever that is, they need to understand and want to have that initiative to do service work or to be civically involved, know more about their government, meetings that might address the area of topic that your club, finds passion in and spark in, that can just help them and understand the adulting way. So those are all just some ideas that you can think about, and maybe you're already implementing and doing, but great things for all programs, no matter what area of topic or interest they are. So I've mentioned, that we mix it up all the time, specifically in entrepreneurship, but in all my clubs. If you've heard this spiel and you've had some great ideas, some things you've done locally, I would love to know anything that you guys maybe have experienced or have tried. So feel free. My contact information is on this final slide to reach out and just share those with me. I would love to incorporate those into our future programming. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for your time.